Hello everybody and welcome to the Ask the Coach Show episode 58 where we answer your table tennis questions. In today's episode we discuss if table tennis needs to be faster, Zhang's footwork, whether practice can be fun and how to serve with long pimples, and also how you can learn the pendulum serve. Alright, as always, here is Alois Rosario, Super Coach, to answer your questions. Welcome, Alois.
Hi, good morning, Jeff. How are you this morning?
Yes, I'm very good, thank you. It's going to be another great show. Always exciting questions. Thanks to all the viewers for asking these interesting questions.
Yeah, it has been good, and we've got another question from Brock this morning, and he's asked that through the Google Hangouts page as well. So.
Yes, which we always like to do, have live viewers on the show asking questions. All right, so firstly though, Alois, PingSkills question of the day from yesterday was, should table tennis copy other sports and go to a reduced format like 2020 cricket and fast 4 tennis? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think table tennis actually is the right length now with the games up to 11. I don't think that they need to change the actual format of the game. Perhaps the presentation can get even better. I know that they're starting to make some really good inroads into the presentation of table tennis. You know, the introductions and the lighting and that sort of thing. So I think just the presentation can get better. I think the game is great, you know, as it is. You know, games up to 11. Two serves each. It moves fast. I think it's pretty good. You know, fast 4 tennis. They've got a few rule modifications with that. So with that, they play on from a let. I don't think that's required in table tennis. I think, you know, it's doesn't happen that often. They also play games sets up to 4 games, and also if it's deuced, then they just play 1 point from there. So, you know, table tennis I think is interesting. You know, if the score gets to 10 all, I think it's interesting to keep going to 12 or 13 or 14 or 15 or whatever it is, and I think the game becomes tense then. So yeah, I think leave it as it is.
Yeah, I actually like the games up to 21, so I think games up to 11 are definitely fast enough and exciting enough. So I agree with you, Alice, on this one. Leave the game alone. All right, so that moves us on to the PingSkills question for today, which is, who do you think will be #1 in the world at the end of 2015 in the men's and the women's? Now, that's a good question, Alois. I like this one. So everybody, leave your comments alongside this episode. You can do that on our YouTube channel, or you can go to pingskills.com, click on the blog link, and you'll find this episode. Be interested to hear your thoughts. Okay, so here's the question you were talking about, Alois, from Brock, who said, if you must choose an opponent that you would want to meet, who would it be?
Yeah, so Brock's asked a few questions there, and probably this question and the next question would be the same question, and that is Jan Waldner. So he's also asked who's the best table tennis player of all time. So that's the player that I'd like to meet. That's the best player of all time.
Yes, yeah, I was a big Jan Waldner fan as well, Alois, so I'd definitely like to meet him. Of the current generation, yeah, I kind of like any of the top Chinese, you know, Ma Long, Zhang Jike, perhaps, even Wang Hao, then even is retired now. But yeah, those players have just brought the table tennis to a whole new level, so I'd like to meet one of those as well. And yeah, so who is the best table tennis player of all time? Yeah, I think, yeah, I'd still probably go with you on Jan Waldner, just because he lasted such a long time, and I think they used to call him evergreen, because even as more Chinese players would come along, he'd still continue to be at the top of his game and top of the world, so I'd go with him. And then the next question from Brock, another quick one, Alois, is how often did you guys play table tennis when you were a rookie?
Yeah, so I initially it was only a couple of times a week when I first started. Um, Lived fairly far away from my training venue. I used to have to catch a train for about 40 minutes and to get down there. So yeah, initially not very often, but as I started to get a little bit more serious about it, it became probably 4 times a week, and then when we were playing seriously, we used to train 6 days a week. So yep. So it increases as your level increases, or the time available increases to you as well.
Yeah, so I remember when I first joined a club and sort of started playing, they would have a competition on a Friday night, and it was a handicap competition. So if you played against a better player, you'd get start, and if you played against a weaker player, you'd give them a start. And I remember during school, I'd always wait for the Friday, and when Friday came, I'd get really excited because we could go down and play the competition. And they had that on like a Friday and a Sunday. So I kind of started playing just those two competitions. And yeah, exactly like you, Alois, as I got more serious and started to train a little bit more, a few days a week, and then yeah, when we got really serious, yeah, we were doing the 6 days a week. Yeah, so thanks for the questions, Brock. Okay, the next question is from Kaylin, and Kaylin is asking about the pendulum service. When they try to practice this service, they usually hit it into the net, and they want to know how exactly not to hit it into the net, or the judge calls a let. Am I supposed to draw back when I'm serving, so move further away from the table, or is there a better way?
Yeah, so Kalen, this is a really common problem when players are starting to do the pendulum serve. The key is to hit the ball closer to you on your side of the table. So hit the ball straight down into your end of the table. So probably only about that far away from the end in that sort of zone is best. And hit the ball from a little bit higher. So if you hit the ball from higher and straight down into the table, then the ball will bounce a little bit more and get over the net. A lot of players hit the ball out too close to the net, and that results in the ball not having enough time to take off. So it's sort of landing here close to the net, and then it hasn't got time to go up and get over the net. Whereas if it lands here, then it's got a bit more time to get up and over the net there. So yeah, so that's the main thing, Kalen. Just try to get the ball closer to you, to bounce closer to you on your side, and just hit it from a little bit higher as well.
Okay, yeah, good advice there, Alois. Now, when you're coaching people, do they tend to know when you talk about this where their ball's bouncing immediately, or they're not really paying attention to that to start with? And is that something they should focus on?
Yeah, it's something that, I mean, when you're starting to learn to serve, there's so many other things that you are trying to focus on, the contact and your action and all that sort of thing. So it is a little bit difficult. I think first up, just get the contact right. Make sure you're doing those sort of things correctly, and then you can start to see where the ball's bouncing. Is it going on, or do you need to make some adjustments with that as well?
Okay, excellent. All right, so hopefully that advice helps you out, Kaylin. Give that a go. Focus on where the ball's bouncing on your side of the table and try and make it closer to you, and I think that will help you out. All right, so Jaden has just jumped on Alois and asked a question. Thanks, Jaden. He says, does height affect gameplay in table tennis?
It tends to affect sometimes just the way that you play, perhaps slightly, but you can be a really good player at whatever height you are. I think we had a question yesterday that was fairly similar. So, we've had world champions that have been over 6 foot, and we've had world champions that have been just over 5 foot. So you really can be any height to be good at this game. The taller players tend to use their reach a bit more, not so much the footwork. They'll tend to use their two wings, the backhand and forehand, whereas the shorter players will tend to move a lot more and be a little bit more dynamic with their movement and strokes. So, yep, but it's just slightly different ways, and you can reach a really high level at whatever height you are.
Great.
So thanks, Jake.
Yes, thank you. All right, so the next question's from Anna, who says, in an old match from 2011 between Ma Long and Zhang, If we leave everything else and just focus on Zhang Jike's feet, I am mesmerized as to what level he has taken his footwork to. China excel in it. Are we missing some technical information here?
Yeah, so he's also put a link in his full question. He's put a link to that video, so we might actually put a link on that as well. And it is really amazing the footwork of the Chinese players now. Just the speed of their movement is ridiculous. Couple of things. One is that they just train a lot more. Their legs become so much stronger, their movement becomes more efficient, but technically I don't think they're doing anything differently. It's just that they're doing it better because of the amount of practice that they've had. So it's the two legs, you know, jumping from here to there, staying really low with their legs when they're playing. So, you know, if your legs aren't strong enough, or if you haven't practiced enough, you tend to stand really upright when you're playing. You'll see the Chinese players are really down low, utilizing the muscles in their legs for that explosive movement. So I don't think it's anything technical. I think it's just how well and how much those guys are practicing. It's just fantastic.
Yes, and it is worth watching. So after the show, make sure you check out our show notes and have a look at the video that Arnab is talking about. It certainly is mesmerizing. All right, another question from Arnab is, some coaches don't like their players fooling around and do a lot of experimenting while they're playing or practicing. So is it necessary to always practice hard with serious determination and hard work, or wouldn't it hurt to have some fun?
Yeah, good question, Arnab. You know, there needs to be a balance. I think, you know, there are two things that you can do. If you've got a real focus about something that you're training, it's important to really put your mind to it, really concentrate, go out there and give everything during that training session. But there is also opportunity to experiment during that training as well. So, you know, sometimes you might want to experiment with some side spin or back spin, or do something different, and that's great, you know. But also make sure that when you are training properly, that your focus is great. You know, the focus is so important when you're training. If you're only there and you're just mucking around all the time, then you just won't get the level of improvement that you should.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? And I think as you develop that focus and you really concentrate on learning skills, that itself becomes enjoyable.
Yeah, it really is. That's right. I mean, just, you know, walking off after a training session when you know that you've focused so well and tried so hard and trained so hard, and you're really tired, it does become enjoyable. So yeah, it's just different types of enjoyment.
Yeah, but thanks for the question, Anna. Really interesting one. All right, Jaden's jumped back on and asked another question for us, Alois. And he says, my friend says that if you angle your bat at 45 degrees when you smash, the ball will land on more often. This tactic seems to have worked for me, so is it true or is it false?
Okay, yeah, so with your smashing, so the important thing is, if you're trying to get that ball fast, is to have a nice flat contact on it. If you've got a flat contact on it, then the ball will go a little bit faster because it's flatter. Angling your racket, so it all depends on where your racket really is. So if you angle the racket like that and smash down, you're going to tend to drag the ball into the net. You know, I mean, again, depending on the height of the ball and when you're hitting it as well. So experiment a little bit for yourself there, Jaden. Just see if you can. You've obviously found an angle that works well for you. So yeah, just keep going with that. But for other players, just experiment with the angle. If the ball's flying off the end of the table, then you need to turn it down. If the ball's going into the net, then you need to turn it up slightly.
Yeah, so I guess rather than have a rule in your head, you should just be focusing on the ball and where it is, and then adjusting to that. Would that make sense?
Yeah, that sounds really good there, Jeff.
Okay, all right. Well, hopefully that helps answer your question, Jaden. All right, the next one is from Siddharth, who says, I use Yasaka Phantom 009 on my backhand. I learned many serves from your helpful videos. Thank you. Can you show and teach me some serves with this kind of rubber?
Okay, so I haven't got Phantom, but I've got a sheet of long pimples here. So if you are serving with the long pimples, you're going to find that you're not going to be able to generate much spin. So it's okay as a surprise serve, just every now and then, but pretty soon your opponent will understand that when you serve with the long pimples, you're not going to be able to generate much spin, and they're going to be able to attack you a little bit easier. So as a surprise serve, that's fine. You can use the long pimples, and it doesn't really matter what type of serve you use. You can play a flat serve, or you can have the motion of having a really heavy serve, but the ball still won't have much spin on it. So if you can make it similar to your other serves with your inverted rubber, it does lead to a little bit of deception and a little bit of doubt in the opponent's mind as well. So yeah, give it a go and try different serves, but remember, don't use it too often, because your opponent will start to work it out that, hey, he's not getting any spin, I can attack this.
Okay, indeed. All right, so Siddharth, yeah, try your normal serves just as a surprise tactic with the Phantom, but generally stick to using your normal rubber to get a more spin and variation on your serves. Okay, Brock's just jumped in and asked one more question, Alois. He says, what angle is the chop to generate spin?
Yeah, so to generate spin, basically, here's the ball, and if you look at it as a flat surface, as a clock face, if that's 12, this is 6 down here. So at 6 is roughly where we want to contact the ball to generate the spin. From there, the ball is going to start to spin around better. So basically, that's what you need to be doing: hitting the ball as close to 6 as you can on the clock face, and you'll be able to generate some backspin. We've got a lesson on this, learning to spin, and we've just got a new lesson up that you will find really interesting. So we'll put a link in the show notes, and you'll be able to go there and have a look at that, and I think you'll get some really useful information out of that.
Yeah, and it's always a complicated part of the game, isn't it? Because I guess on the serve it's easiest to explain because you're just throwing the ball up and it doesn't already have spin. But if your ball's already got spin, then you need to take that into consideration, and there's so many sort of variables. It sounds complicated to start with, but once you know the basics, I guess, it simplifies things, and then you understand how to get that ball spinning backwards if that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, it's a really fun thing to start to learn, and it opens up a whole new area of the game. So yeah, give it a go. Take a look at that lesson on learning to spin, and I'm sure you'll get something out of it.
Great. All right, well, thank you, everyone, for your questions, and thanks, everyone, for watching. Make sure you go to pingskills.com, check out our website, sign up for our free newsletter. Lots of information to help you out there. And thank you, Alois.
Yep, thanks, Jeff, and have a great day, PingSkillers.
See you all tomorrow. Bye.